Back at it again. IOU Redemption Podcast. Big speaker.
It's your boy G White. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's jump right into the IOU moments for this week.
All right, bet you go ahead with it. Start
So
us
my
off.
IOU moment is this right here. I was just thinking about this the other day, and I was talking to Chelsea about it. But this IOU moment is called "Stop doing the same thing today and expecting different results tomorrow." This really aggravates me because it's like, let's say me and Chelsea went somewhere, and as soon as we come up against some people we seen in the past, or we may not have seen them in a while, they immediately be like, "Man, y'all look good. Like y'all look like y'all been working out. Y'all blah blah blah." The whole rundown. And after we tell them we've been working out, or if I told them I just ran some miles or something, then they be like, "I need to start running me some miles. I need to get up too. I need to get in the gym too." And I'm so sick of that because chances are that same person probably said the same thing 6 months ago, 3 weeks ago, and they never ever try to get up and do it for themselves. They always comment on you, and then you just wonder why. Like, when am I ever gonna come in contact with people that you get in front of me like, okay, you've been running, huh? Okay, I've been running too. I just ran 3 miles this morning. Yeah, I just left the gym. We can never get onto that plan of building to where we're not always coaching in the room. We always got a coach instead of banding together with somebody else. And that goes from like anything from like that situation happens a lot. But then we talk about like money, like everything somebody needing help with. It's always I'm leading the pack.
Yeah. So the thing is this. It kind of go back to something that I've always tried to say in the terms of like, well, one, saying something too many times and not making actions toward it. Then you just running your mouth. The second thing is it's like, okay, and like I know everybody's like body changes, like women's bodies changes in different ways after they have kids, right? That's a fact. Some people, I
Yeah.
don't know, just depending on who they are. I can't speak to women's body. I've never been a woman, but I do know that there's a difference in between women's bodies after they have kids, right? Or as they get
Yep.
older. Like all of us, like let's take even the kids out of it. Even when you get older, your body changes. But you catch people talking to other people, like you said, seeing other people, and they be like, "Dang, you look good after you had that baby. You snap back, or you
Yeah.
done this." Or even people like, "Man, that person look good for their age," or this, that, and third. Like, okay, cool. You know, you could do that too, right? Like they get up every day and dedicate themselves for whatever they do. Some of it is genetics. There's a such thing as genetics out there, for real, for real.
Yeah.
But for the majority of the people, what you're doing is you psyching yourself out, is what I was saying. And you're saying that what they got, I can't obtain, and I just want to be a fan of that. And I think it
Yeah.
looks good. You know what I mean? And I say like, oh, that looks good, and I bet that feels good, but ain't no way
Yep.
I'm gonna do that. That's for them. That ain't for me. You get what I mean? And you
Yeah.
keep doing that with a bunch of people in your life. So like, if somebody said that to you, and then somebody said that to 3, 4 other friends, you don't go through the day saying that to 5, 6 other people that they have this, they look this way, that they're doing this,
Yep.
and you don't do any of it. So what? You're saying they're better than you? Are you saying that they're, you know what I mean, stronger than you? Are you saying like, you know what I mean? You give people that type of power over you when you keep doing that too. Cause like,
Yep.
some people help you, and some people love to see you like come around and boost their head up like that or something like that. So I mean, it comes down to the circle too. Like I got a couple guys that, if I'm not in the gym, he doesn't text my phone. But like if it's a gap like in between me coming, he'll ask a question because he go 2 times a day. This one dude, I just seen him yesterday. He asked, "Man, where you been at?" You know what I mean? Like, or good to see you in here. I'm gonna see you in here tomorrow, right? Like he'll say something like that to like encourage you to come back or let you know I'm looking for you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those little things register with me with accountability and things of that nature. So yeah, don't be fanned out. Don't. And that's exactly what that is. Like, but it does suck. I get exactly what you're saying too. Have to be able to always, be the coach in those situations and not
Mhm.
like, know what I'm saying, not testing the brain. So, like, hey, like you said, I did 5 miles, or I did 10 miles, or um, I'm doing this program right now. So, like, if we were doing like T25, remember we was doing
Yeah.
T25, or somebody like, well, I'm doing Insanity, or I'm doing the P90X challenge, or you get what I mean? Then
Yeah.
y'all kind of comparing, but then, I'm sure that you got to just have friends with likable lifestyles. It's similar lifestyles, not likable, but similar lifestyles in what they doing. You know what I'm saying? But it does.
That's tough. Like what we try to do, that's tough. People
Yeah, no, I
slim
got you.
pickings.
No, I got you. I got you. So let's get into my IOU. My IOU is be careful what you chase. Um, you know, this episode is titled Dream Chasers, right? So this kind of goes hand in hand, but in a different meaning. So be careful what you chase. I don't care if it's a woman. I don't care if it's a man. I don't care if it's a job. I don't care if it's money. I don't care if it's fame. I don't care if it's acceptance. I don't care if it's clout. You have to be mindful of the things in this life that you find yourself chasing and pursuing, because some of the things I've just named and listed out, some of them aren't for you. That woman may not be for you. That job may not be for you. That money, chasing money can lead you down a bunch of rabbit holes, which we've kind of alluded to with all money's not good money. And if that's all you're seeing, you can lose a lot trying to chase that dollar. You could lose who you are. You could lose a family. You understand what I'm saying? Um, so, we're not telling people don't be hungry. We're not telling you not to want more, not to strive more. I'm not saying not to pursue what you love, that person you love, to go after that person you love, fight for that person you love. I'm not saying that. But to actually chase, that's a dangerous game. And be careful how long you do the chase. Because I say particularly, especially if you're chasing a woman, or a woman chasing a man, you gotta be careful with that. Because if some people like to play games with you, you be chasing forever once they know you down to do it. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
They'll play all type of games
Yep.
with you. So, be careful with that. With the fame, the clout. I tell it all the time. You hear it all the time. Well, you don't hear it all the time. You hear it sometimes. I'm gonna tell you, I think this all the time. We talk about fame. I'd rather have the money than the fame. You know what I'm saying? Some people want fame though. Some people will do anything and everything, which goes back to our last episode when we talk about social media and some of the things like that and the influence of social media. Some people will rather have the 1,000,000 followers than the $1,000,000.
Yeah. That's our
Yeah.
society now.
They would rather have the 1,000,000 followers than the $1,000,000. And it's the complete opposite. You know what I mean? Like, I've been viral, quote unquote viral, a couple times, and it hasn't transitioned to anything in my pocket. So it didn't get me as excited as the people that I saw out in public when they saw me with different stuff, or you know what I mean? Hey, I saw you this, I saw that, I saw that so and so repost this, whatever. I'm like, okay, because it didn't register. You get what I mean? I'm not one. I didn't do it on purpose. Two, I don't care about
Yeah.
that part of it. Now, if it put me and my family in a different position, I was getting some type of checks to where, you know what I mean, it was doing something for me and my kids and my family. Then that's completely different. So be careful with the fame. Acceptance. When I think about acceptance, you know, um, that just goes back to when you were a child, your mom or dad or whoever telling you to be a leader, not a follower. Because if you want to hang around a particular group of people or get accepted by a particular person, and if that's what you're looking for, that chasing that type of acceptance, you might go down a rabbit hole again. Somebody might have you doing all type of stuff. What we call them, send off man. You'll be a send off man.
Yeah.
You'll be they have you doing because they know you'll do whatever because you're chasing that acceptance from others. So they'll be like, man, we can make him do this. We can make her do that. You know what I mean? So um, just be mindful of the things in this life that you chase because everything is not meant for you to have. So you shouldn't be chasing it. And if you're not too careful, you know what I mean, it can lead you down an endless path of like bad things. Endless path. I mean, all of it is just be careful with your, you know what I mean. It's okay to chase your dreams. It's okay to fight for the things you love, but just do it with a monitor on how much you're doing it and what your motives is behind it and the impression you're giving people behind it too.
Yeah, I see this the most with people with the one of the episodes we did about the social media influence. So people doing a lot of chasing for whatever it is they see on Instagram that they like. And one of the like I said, one of the major things right now is some people chase like violence between two people, or some people chase just the gossip and whatever. And this is my thing with it. So like the Kendrick Lamar and the Drake stuff that's going on. There's people like these grown men. Like I listen to the diss songs too. I like to listen to them. This is a part of like hip hop for me, but that is not consumed. That has not consumed my life. Like I haven't skipped an assignment or skipped anything to try to view that stuff. So what I'm saying is if you start to get into a point where you chasing that type of information, and then guess what? You used to have a real simple mindset and easygoing, slow to anger, things like that. But now you so hungry to see blood, you so hungry to see this come out the way you want it to come out. You starting to act like that now. You starting to everybody want to hear the ether type diss from Drake, this and that.
Mm.
Now your conversations is responsive like that, like an ether diss. So the things you chase will make you become what you chase. That's what I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's what you're putting into your mind. It's what you're putting into your
Exactly.
mind. And if you consistently putting whatever in your mind, whether you want to or not, you're going to become that, right? You are who you hang around. You are what you subject yourself to. You are what you listen to. All of that.
Yeah.
Uh, for instance, like you ever had this happen to you, like a song you don't even like, but it come on the radio like every day or something, or
Stuck in
three,
your
four
head.
times a day, or put it this way, a song that your kids, one of them little things from YouTube or whatever your kids play, whatever this little whatever that song is, bro. It could be anything. Baby Shark, all that stuff. You don't really care for that stuff. You know what I mean? As an adult. But if you hear that 30, 40 times a day, before you know every single word. You didn't
Yep.
try to memorize it. You get what I mean? You didn't try to memorize it at all. You might cringe every time it come on, but if you
Yep.
hear that song every day on the radio, it's something your kids like to listen to or something like that. Before you know it, that's the same thing with any and everything else. You get what I mean? You committing it to
Yep.
memory. It's becoming a part of you, whether you want it to or not, because that's just how we are as people. Unless you got your hands over your ears and plugs in your ears or whatever else, yeah. But when you seeking out that type of stuff, like you said, if you seeking out beef, if you seeking out violence, if you seeking out controversy and stuff like that, you're gonna become a controversial person. You're gonna
Yep.
might become a violent person. You get what I mean?
Yep.
Um, you know, that's why I've seen it where some people like the controversy. I've seen people just seem like they just They just look for a debate. They just look for something that it could be nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's just who they are. They just what they watch and that's what they see. So they just feel like everything got to be a conflict and everything got to be a back and forth. And so most
Yep.
definitely, most definitely, most definitely, most definitely. So today's episode is titled, Dream
Hold
Chasers.
on, hold on. Let's slide in the intro. We can come in after that.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Yep.
Yeah.
What we
No,
getting into today?
what I was gonna say is I was gonna say today's episode is Dream Chasers. Um and then I was gonna say it's something I'm looking forward to really getting into. Um but we're here now, so let's rock it out. You know, we've kind of heard Dream Chasers from two different angles. We know that that's a thing in life to chase a dream. Um and we also have heard it from like Meek Mill's label. If we talking from a hip hop content, if we talking from in urban areas, I think Meek Mill and his movement really made people start saying it a lot more in our and just in the urban neighborhoods, um, and making it like a cool thing. But I don't know if people ever thought about the the meaning behind it. You get what I'm saying? The pursuing the passion. What you laughing at?
Because I don't think I ever heard of. I don't think I ever heard of like the phrase before Meek Mill. I mean, I've heard a dream
But nobody was running
place,
around
but like
saying like,
nobody's
yeah,
saying
no,
it. So I'm
no,
saying like nobody is like saying that.
mm-mm,
It wasn't like
no.
a typically like you just happen in your dreams. You had a dream. You ain't
Mhm.
or you don't even remember some of it.
Or you didn't really say dream chase. You say like I got goals
Had-
I'm after or something
yeah,
like that. But no, Meek Mill made it cool to say
yeah,
dream chasers. And to be honest with you, that's one of the things one of the things that caught my attention with him, and I liked it. Um, it's just kind of that movement. You know what I mean? That that come from nothing, chasing a dream. Dreams making out, especially some of his early music, and you can hear the passion behind it. You can hear, you know what I mean? He's against all odds. So, I'm gonna break it down in our own way, right? And kind of talk about it in a few different ways, three different sections that I think people can learn from, people can gain from, people can relate from. Um, and you know, jumping right into it, man. The first, the first, the first segment of it would be childhood dreams. When I think of a childhood dream, bro, what I think of is I think of kids. Two things. My kids, and I think of myself. I would say because I was a kid that, because a child's mind to me is very powerful and it's pure. And I think all kids start off with a powerful mind and a pure mind. And a child's mind to me, we talk about childhood dreams, they big. You know what I mean? They're 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 endless. That's why you hear kids say, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a scientist. I want to be, you get what I mean? You ask a kid, they're like, it's straight to the top. It's endless, bro. I want to be the president.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's powerful with kids. If you just sit there and I was that type of kid though. Like I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know. So I didn't know. So if somebody asked me as a kid, like I may have didn't know 100% what I wanted to be. I had a couple things in my mind that I knew I wanted to be, but
yeah,
also I think my guiding light was what I wanted to do. You kind of get what I'm saying? Like, even at times, if I didn't know exactly what I wanted to be, I know what I wanted to do. And I know what I wanted to have in life, and I know what I wanted to represent in life.
Yeah.
And I may have not knew how I was going to get there, but I was willing to do whatever it took to get there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, so it's just when I think about that, it's just in a child, like I said, a child's mind and in that childhood dream. I just feel like it takes you very far, and that's the purest form of us as humanity. Is the dreams that we have when we are kids and that our kids have, and because it's the stuff that you dream as a child. It can go from two parts, right? It can start as just a fantasy, right? But it also can help shape your career. It'll
Yeah.
start as a fantasy, but it can also help shape your career. So, you know, I got a little cousin that drive trucks, but he's not with the wave of people who are driving trucks like later in life because maybe a couple of other things didn't work out, and that's just a really good income to have. Um, he had started off like with the, you know what I mean, like the little toy trucks. Want the toy trucks for Christmas, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like really into it. So the difference is he'll get on the road and stay gone for like weeks at a time. Because he's been dreaming this forever as a career. You get what I mean? This is what he's been wanting to do. But the person that really doesn't like doing it, they may not want to do it as long, or may not want to, they don't really see it the same way because it's not their dream. Do you understand what I'm saying? It wasn't
Yeah.
their, been envisioning himself on the road driving up and down through mountains and doing stuff like that forever. So to him, it's like, you know what I mean? You might see him in the truck, music playing, him having a good old time, and you can't see it. You can't imagine how happy he is doing that job because that's not something you would be happy doing, right?
Yep.
But he's turned that fantasy of his, that little childhood dream of his, into a career, and it's helped shape this career. So, that's what I think about when I think about childhood dreams in terms of, dream chasing.
Yeah, the similar for me, I think of childhood dreams as something that builds the foundation of who you are or who you think you want to be. I remember going to church um back I think I was at New Community at the time. So I wasn't that young. Probably I think I was in high school, but they told us to come up to the front. They gave us a piece of paper and they said write down what you want to be when you basically grow older into an adult, right? And I remember at the time I put become a professional athlete, but hear me out. I didn't want to put that. Like I had always had the mindset that being a professional athlete, that was what everybody said in our neighborhoods, right?
Right.
That was the
Mhm.
only thing we really could like
You're gonna rap or
work on.
dribble a ball or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's who
Mhm.
that those are the things, the images that we seen people doing in our hood. Like that's what people were striving after. So we like product of our environment. We like we could do that too. They did it, so we can do it. So I remember to this day, I went up there, I wrote it down, and I said to myself, I was like, why you write that down? You're not gonna do that. That's not even what you like to do. That ain't what you want to do. And if people know me, I tell them all the time. I always tell people that sports is temporary fame. I think back to like the people who I went to college with that went to the NBA at the time, like Gordon Hayward, Shelvin Magnum. And I had classes with Gordon. I used to talk to him, and during that time frame, it was amazing because he would be getting texts and things from Reggie Miller when he was getting about to get drafted. The campus was just vibrant, back to back Final Four appearances, and I remember to myself like it's a lot of fandom going on right now between
Mhm.
these guys on the campus, everything. But I told myself, it's like at the end of the day, like 10 years from now, 12 years from now, when like we out, they gonna either have to be like Kobe, Mike Jordan to be relevant, or they're gonna have to come back and hop into the workforce And guess what? I'm gonna have a head start on them because I'm gonna been in the workforce for 12 years, and they're gonna just be getting into it post NBA career. And so that's why I always say that I think sports is temporary fame. So when I went up there to write that on that piece of paper, I knew I had that same mindset. It's like you don't want to do that. Put something else down, but I didn't. But I think it was kind of like a psychological thing where even though I wrote that down, put that in the bucket up there. It was just something in the back of my mind that said that you think you're gonna be doing it. It's like guys like had me do that. You think you're gonna be doing this? Let's just write this down, throw this away right now. You know when they have like those campfires and they say, what do they call them? They say throw your write down your problems or something and
I
throw
know
them
what
in the
you're talking
fire.
about. Yeah,
that's
yeah, but I can't think about. I know exactly what you're talking about. They
that's
write it
that's kind
down
of like,
and then they
yeah,
kind of like they burn it.
they
Yeah.
burn it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I feel like I did at the church though. I wrote that dream down and threw it away. So when I grew up, even when I used to get people recruiting me in college, I never I just looked at it as a way to get into college, like my sports, because I couldn't do well on SAT, ACTs, but I had a 4.0. But if you don't do good in the standardized tests, you're not really gonna get in. So as I said today, that's how I got into Butler because I was able to play sports. So I use it the opposite way. Most people very good at sports, terrible grades. So they sports hold them up, get them in there, right? I was the opposite, very good academically, and I wasn't the best at sports, but it was enough to cover my bases for
Mm-hmm.
my standardized tests.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think about childhood dreams is that your childhood dreams develop you who you are and they push you in that direction where you want to go. But I think the tough part is your childhood dreams can be impacted or persuaded by your environment. But if you like your cousin, if you have something that you just channel in on, like I did with
Mm-hmm.
computers, that's
Mm-hmm.
really your inner dream, and that's going to throw you forward. Like I'm not into this cyber and all of this stuff just for the money. It comes with it, but
You
like
enjoy
genuinely
it, though.
enjoy doing it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I tell
Yeah.
Chess all the time, if I could work at the Geek Squad for forever, I'll be cool, right? And that's just from a childhood dream of taking apart my first computer at 9 years old. Most people don't know that, but that's how I got started in this.
Yeah. It is it come down to that, which kind of goes right into the second point we want to talk about
Yeah,
today, which is turning
turning
dreams
dreams into
into
realities.
realities. It goes right into that, turning dreams into realities, to be honest with you. Because I feel like as a kid, when you're dreaming, you have these dreams that you want to be, something in your life. You want to be this, you know what I mean? It can really happen. But how do you make it happen is what a lot of people don't understand or they lose sight
Yeah,
of, right? But you gotta, y'all, I'm telling people gotta continue to think of it in its simplest form. You know what I mean? You turning your dreams into reality, you may have to gain some relevant education. You might have to get
hmm
some type of relevant training towards whatever that is, right? That's how you turn that dream into a reality. You know what it is, educate yourself on what it's gonna take to obtain that. Do I gotta go to school? Do I gotta get a certification? Do I got to do some type of training? You got to do something, right? Whether
yeah,
that's sports, whether that's being that astronaut, whether that's being that doctor, whether that's being that truck driver, whether it's being whatever, whether it's being whatever it may be, you have to do something towards it. You have to put that type of work that think about what I just said. It's going to take work to turn those dreams into realities. I don't know another way. I don't think you know another way. I've
no,
never heard of another way of somebody working, but outside of, I wouldn't consider this work, but I guess somebody somewhere might, outside of like a lottery ticket or something like that. Some people say that's work because you got to go out there, dedicate yourself every day to go down to that corner store and get that lottery ticket. But I don't consider that work. What I'm saying, but it's the work that most people aren't willing to do that helps turn dreams to realities. That persistence, that consistency. You understand what I mean? Going that extra mile, doing what others may say is too much, doing what other people may deem crazy. You get what I mean? That's what helps turn those dreams into reality. And I'll say this, that's the ultimate level of fulfillment to me. You know what I mean? Every time I've made my mind up to do something, and I've said this before, put the work in and watch it manifest itself, I think anybody that can relate to that, whether we like we talked about today, whether it's starting off with a fitness journey, whether it's in your professional career, you as even as a person, learning how to handle situations or deal with other people in a different manner than maybe you used to. You understand what I
Yeah.
mean? It's that type of level of fulfillment that you have to do it to understand it. And once you get it, you kind of fall in love with it. You know what I mean? You fall in love with that process of that dedicating yourself, putting in that work, doing that homework, whatever, because you know that result at the end is something that one, nobody could take from you and you earned it. Do you understand what I'm saying? You really
Yeah.
earned it. And you know it was tough. Maybe you stayed up late nights. Maybe you weren't supporting those efforts. Whatever it was, you got it done. You set it up, you had it in your mind, and you set out and completed it. So, you know, it's that level of fulfillment that I think about and the things that it takes to turn those dreams into reality. And once you do that, I mean, you got the endless potential, you know, things you could do because that's going to become a habit of yours. But then you also have the internal stuff inside of you that's going to be satisfied because of you know the work and what it took for you to do that. Other people may see it and be able to celebrate with you. Man, I'm proud of
Yeah.
you. Man, I'm happy for you. Man, I see you. But at the end of the day, you feel good about you. Like I always tell people, at the end of the day, you feel good about when everybody else is gone and you can't fake it anymore. You still are feeling good because, yeah, I did this. I did that. I did that. I did that. Yeah. I remember when I was just thinking about that. Look at it. You sit in that house. You thought about buying a house. And when you get that house and you sit in that house, you may not even have no furniture in that house. I remember my first house, bro, when I bought it. Uh, I remember getting into that garden tub at the time and sitting in there. And I ain't even drink like that at the time. Like I just went and got some champagne, took a bubble bath, and I sat in there. I sat in there and was drinking champagne. Because this is my house. You know what I'm saying? I envisioned doing this as a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I put the work in. I made myself eligible. I got my credit score where it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? I earned the income to qualify for this type of stuff. You get what I mean? I felt really good. Now, there was a lot of people think that was happy for me too. But I was really proud of me in that moment. And that was what I did, me. Some people like, you did what? Yes, I got in there, took a bath, and had some champagne. I don't even think I drank all the champagne. I sat in there and I just was reflecting. And can't nobody take that from me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I'm saying. When you turn those dreams into reality, what that'll do for you.
Yeah. And I'm going to harp on how you actually do it. I think this process will be different for a lot of people, but the fact of the matter is the common denominator here is you actually have to go out, like you said, you have to put in the work for it. This is the thing about it. A lot of people think that, let's say we wanted to, everybody want to get rich, everybody want to be wealthy, but everybody always think that stock market investing is a perfect example. Everybody go into the stock market and always think that they want to turn their dreams of being rich into reality. And they're going to do that by finding the next GameStop stock.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work like that. Those things like that happen every once in a blue moon. They're very rare. Shouldn't have happened. They happened kind of off of a forced hand by a group of people banding together and pushing it, right? They pushed the envelope. But the thing is that the stock market, investing in the stock market, it should be a long-term thought process, and you're actually day by day turning your dreams of being rich from investing in the stock market into reality, and that's done over time. I think the same thing is true with dream chasing. It starts out with your childhood dream and understanding what you want to do in the future. And the fact of the matter is, you have to go out, research your stocks.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand certain trends that go along with the stock. You have to see how the outside influences in the world is impacting your stock. You have to look at the financials of the company that you're looking at. You have to look at the competitors. You see, you have to look at all these other determining factors to understand that if that stock, or AKA that dream that you have, is going to be able to withstand this long period of time that you're willing to invest in it. So I take, for example, like me, again, being loving to do things with computers, I have to take all those things into effect. So is this me having this passion for computers, what does that lead me? Through the different stages of it, what type of money do I want to make? Because certain computer careers, they don't lead to certain dollar amounts that I want to get to. So how do you do that research to find out where you want to be? You're probably going to have to learn some skills to turn that dream into a reality. You're going to have to learn some skills. People skip over that. Like, you need skills to invest in the stock market. Stop listening to people's telling you don't need any skills. You got to do research. That's skill.
Yes.
You got to be like clear and concise with your research. You got to know when to get in, when to get out. You have to know these fundamental things.
Especially
And
if
it's
you're
the
in it for the
same.
long. But hold on. So especially if you're in it for the long run, right? The long
Yeah.
haul. And actually, you're intentional.
Yeah.
Some people meet these one-offs and these one-off stories and think that that's going to be their story. That's not the case. So if
No.
you're if you live and breed like stocks and bonds, right? And you tell me, hey, Greg, you got some extra money to play with? I say, yeah, I got some change, bro. And you say, we're gonna put five over here, five over here, five over here. I'm trusting you, right? Because hey, maybe I'm going the lazy route and I just got it to blow. You get what I mean? Go ahead,
Yeah.
bro. That's what you did this month. Okay, do it for me, and I might be successful at it. You get what I'm saying? That may
Yeah.
actually work. I see people that with sports betting. They do that
Yeah.
too. They take sports bets off other people. Hey man, what you placing? What you doing this?
Yeah.
And it don't work. It don't work. You got to really become a geek for it. Like really watch these players and know the probabilities and what they're capable of doing for it to work. All of it is
Exactly.
that's why I say all of it is work. I don't know how you're gonna turn a dream to reality without the work. The work,
Yeah.
some form of fashion of it. I'm not talking about these closing my eyes and shooting and yeah, it go in every now and again. I'm not talking about that. Even a
Mhm.
blind squirrel, what they say, a blind squirrel can find a nut. But
Mhm.
so we're trying to be intentional, and that's what we talk about: intentional practices for people. And
Yeah.
this is exactly it.
Yeah. Intentional practices, how you turn dreams into realities. And you have to actually put out a plan. See, when I started taking apart that computer at 9, my plan was, okay, I'm gonna go work for a computer company. How you gonna get to that point working for a computer company? Okay, I know I gotta practice this. So like I'll give you another perfect example. Like right now, I'm really into networking, really into understanding the actual languages. So like if I ask somebody, when you type in google.com into your web browser, what is the process that happens behind the scene to get you to there? And I can talk that language. Like I can tell you that there's a couple of servers involved. There's a client and a host, and you
Mhm.
put in that web address, and it translates that web address to an IP address. It goes out, but goes to this different server. All these different things in the background. It's a technical terms, but what I'm saying is, I I am interested in this in the networking part, and part of that of turning that dream into reality of doing something big with networking. I have to put a not just a net. I have to build out a networking lab in my house, and I'm not just talking about. Most people have a networking lab in their house, like they don't realize it, but your router and your computer's connected, like that's a network. But I'm talking about like a real like commercial industrial type setup where I got a bunch of like I got routers, network racks and switches, all type of things like that in here. And I want to learn the ins and out about the language that's being spoken, the ports that's being used, and cyber attacks coming through. I can simulate them, things like that. So that's what I mean by putting in the work. You have to actually try to simulate what you're going to be doing. Simulation mode. So going through the things like taking apart the computer, seeing how this works, putting things together, building one from scratch. That leads into actually understanding how you need to study it. So now I know about these things. I can study computer engineering, electrical engineering. I can read different things, watch different material on it. Like this is how you put in the work for it. Going to do internships, going to pick up some task to do about it. And so this is what I mean by turning your dreams into realities. You have to actually go out and apply it and try to simulate what you're going to be doing. And I just think that a lot of people skip over that because they want the space rocket straight to the goal, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So until we get serious, like goes back to my IOU moment, stop stop thinking that like it's insanity. You keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to get the same result.
that's the
You got to do
definition of
something different.
insanity. Yeah, it really is. You got to do something different. And what I think about is this. It's funny. Uh, I'm gonna tell you some of that stuff you were saying about. Obviously, you get into that cybersecurity talk, and you talking that lingo. You may lose some people, but somebody out there get exactly what you're saying because
Yeah.
that's what they into, and you really can break it down into, you know what I mean? You can really get into the weeds of it. You know what I mean? You can really get
Yeah.
into it, but um, that just shows the passion and you know, into what you're doing and what you're still trying to build upon. And there's always a next step that you're working towards. There's always something within something by not
Yeah.
being satisfied. I would say my biggest dream that I turned into reality, and I've had a few, because I told you it becomes contagious. It becomes contagious. Whether it's like I said, we could talk fitness, we could talk family, we could talk about community, we could talk about wealth, we could talk about whatever, we could talk about different stuff. I'll say one thing that, you know, is really big, and I talk about it a lot, is my baseball softball camp. So, you know, most people that know us, those that don't know us, we are athletes. You know what I mean? Like played baseball, football, everything growing up, but end up playing baseball in college. You play football in college, uh, but you was an athlete too. Play football, basketball, baseball, all that stuff too. So either or. So we make a lot of sports analogies and references because that's been a big part of our lives,
Yeah.
especially with us getting out of certain circumstances and getting out of our neighborhoods. Them games that we was playing for free at the court or at the end of the in the creek at the end of the street, playing little baseball games, wiffle ball games, or whatever else all day, you know, ended up getting me a college education. But what I'm saying is this, you know, a lot of people know, why did you start a baseball camp? Why did you start a baseball softball camp? And why did you start it here? So what I'm saying is this was the craziest turning a dream to a reality. And I've told you this story before. Um, I had very few people that I actually like looked up to and wanted to be like. But I knew the older we got, not too many people start falling off playing baseball. We all started playing baseball. Everybody started playing baseball in our neighborhood. Your biggest hooper, your biggest dope boy, whatever it was, we all played baseball together.
Yeah.
But the older we got, people went down different paths or whatever. But I still knew my passion was in baseball. So I went up to, so look, so then I'm gonna fast forward all the way to high school. High school, you really start to notice because you get alumni that come back and visit the basketball alumni come back and visit the current basketball team. Football player alumni, they come back visit the current football team and whatever else. There was very few people who made it with baseball, and there was a particular person that made it in baseball, and you be laughing because I'm clean like that with it. You know exactly what I'm talking about too. And
That's why
it's
I'm
and
thinking that
look, this is what I'm
that's
saying. It helped
crazy.
motivate me to turn a dream to a reality. And I went up to this particular person while we was at the basketball court and asked them, "Hey, are you so and so? Don't you play baseball?" And I know you play baseball. He looked me square in my face in front of all the guys and everybody at the court and said, "No, I wrestle." And everybody
So
started laughing and clowning me, right? Kind of like, and I'm like a shorty at the time, but not really a shorty. I'm more like a
man,
freshman. That's definitely was a dream killer. And I'm gonna
talking
get
about
into the
dream
dream
killers.
killer, but it's turned a dream into reality. What I'm saying is because from that day I started dreaming. I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I knew what I wanted to do, if that makes sense. And I know how I was gonna get there. I didn't know that, but I knew I was willing to put the work in from that moment that I wouldn't be like that person because I wanted to be, if a kid ever came to me or somebody looked to me for something or had influence over a younger generation, I wanted to be the person that pulls them, to helps them, propels them to be great, or to help enhance them and pull them under my wing like a big bro, or like a, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. I wouldn't clown you like that. You know what I mean? Because luckily I have my own mindset and I turn it like this because somebody else could have derailed them. Somebody else could have hit that person in the mouth. I'm just saying. So what I'm saying is that really drove something and woke something up in me because I said I'm not even on that level yet. I didn't even have one letter of interest yet from a college, but I knew I was going to put myself in a position to get there, and I was going to come back and watch what I do with it. Watch what I do with my chance come up. And there we go. Over a decade later, pouring back into the community, giving back, talking to kids, mentorship with kids, things of that nature. You know what I mean? And that's just one piece of it. But I'm telling you, my dream started right there when that person laughed at me and everybody was clowning like, all right.
No, you're turning your dream into reality started right there.
That's what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
shifted that right there. Turned into a reality because I knew I was going to do whatever it took at that moment to turn that dream into a reality, and I wasn't going to stop. And I was going to come back and do it my way. That's why a lot of people have said over years, man, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do? I'm doing it my way. You got to understand, I've been dreaming this for a long time. I've been working on this for a long time. Dedicating myself to this for a long time. I put that work in, and I have my reasons behind it. A lot of the things that I've done that are people would consider like extracurricular or the things that they could just be like, man, that was crazy. How did you do that? I told y'all in like one of the first episodes. Me personally, I'm big on my mental. When I put my mind to something, I tend to do it. The things I've given up on or the things that I've stopped pursuing and chasing, I really didn't want. But the stuff I want in life, the stuff I really want, I get because I lock in. I figure I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get that. You understand what I'm saying? So, and that's again that ultimate level of fulfillment, like I started off talking about with turning the dream into reality. But let's get into the dream killers because that situation I just told you could have been a dream killer. It absolutely could have been a dream killer. But what I think about, and I'm gonna let you chew on this, bro. When I think about dream killers is, and I know, and if y'all pay attention, we always like to talk about the positives and the negatives because that's real life. Everything is not roses. Do you understand what I'm saying? But everything doesn't have to be a sad song either. But you need to know how to navigate with that because while you're chasing your dreams, pursuing passions, there's going to be some dream killers. People who introduce doubt to your mind. You sure you could do that? You sure that's for you? You should. Like we talked about the movie with Venus and Serena
King
Williams and
Richard.
their dad, King Richard. You remember when they was talking to her and they was talking to Serena and they was trying to change
Her
uh
stance,
her stance
open,
and
close.
and no and she was speaking confidently and Will Smith in the movie kind of interjected and said she answered the
Oh,
question. She
yeah,
answered
when
the
she was
question.
coming out the after the game, like after
Yeah,
walking out, and there was
yeah, she answered the question correctly. Move
Yeah, I
forward.
noticed
You
that
get what I
too.
mean? She was a young black girl. He went off. He said she said it confidently. Move forward. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
People
I know what
introduce
you're talking
doubt
about.
into your mind. Be careful about that.
Because she was about
Negativity.
to go against the number one player. Yeah.
Exactly. So be careful of the dream killers who introduce doubt. The people who are always negative. The one that want to tell you that's impossible. or that's crazy, or nobody in our family done that. We ain't cut like that. We do this, or you can't do that, or look where you from, you can't do that. Look at how you look, you can't do that. Or you know what I'm saying? Stay away from those type of mindsets and dream killers. And just know, dream killers in most cases can be your family members and friends.
Man.
And they don't it's yes, you can have people in your community and whatever else, but usually you don't really let them get to you. They usually add to it. It could be your family and friends that don't support your vision. That could be a dream killer because you're around them the most time and you think that they're supposed to. They really think that because I want to do this, my mama them supposed to support it, or my friends and them supposed to support it. Yes, ideally in text by textbook and in a perfect world, you're absolutely correct. They are, because I consider you a friend. You should support me while I'm chasing my dreams, and you should speak life into me. You should be positive. Same thing with your mom, your dad, whoever else you're around. Yes, they should. But is that the case for everybody? No, that's not everybody's story. You got to lock in. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to understand that what's for you is for you, and go get it with the one life you're going to live. You know what I mean? Because there will be the dream killers, and you can't put power in somebody else's hands for your dream because it's your dream. How are you going to be in a room full of people who's given up on their dreams? How do you expect them to help push you towards that when they haven't done that for themselves? You know what I mean? That's not shade, that's a fact. So I'm careful on who I listen to. I'm very careful who I take advice from. I'm very careful on who I let what they say hold any weight or creed. Because if you haven't even put the work in to even do anything remotely close, you better come real correct if you want me to apply what you're saying to my life. Because if I let people like that get in my ear too much, it's gonna derail me. You understand what I'm saying? And I would say the last past failure that last dream killer that I can think about is like past failures. That can kill your dreams. What people have done in the past, what they've not done in the past, what they mistakes that they have made in the past, stuff that didn't work in the past, and they give up on that dream. They stop pursuing it. You know what I'm saying? Look at baseball. If you hit 300 baseball, you're in the Hall of Fame. 3 out of 10. Do you understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is those odds alone. 3 out of 10, and you in the Hall of Fame. That's the way I look at it. We talk about past failures. So I only got 3 hits out of them 10 at bats. So there's 7 other times I failed, quote unquote, right? 7 other chances by the odds that it didn't work in my favor. I either struck out, popped out, something like that, grounded out or whatever. But guess what? I keep swinging. I stay locked in. And as long as I hit 3 out of 10, and I do that my whole career, I'm going to probably end up in the Hall of Fame. And that's how I look at life. Them past failures, you'll never see yesterday again. You'll never see yesterday again, and you hoping to see tomorrow. So we're going to stay in the now. So those type of things is what I think about when I think of dream killers.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of things you said. Some of the things that sticks out to me and resonates with my points is that's why when you were explaining the whole thing about the point where you turn the dream into reality about your baseball camp, speaking to somebody who essentially you looked up to as
Mm.
a person who in your community made it to a place where you could see yourself in a point in your life, and then when you approached them and asked about what they did and things like that, he gave you a funny answer. And from that point, you made up your mind that you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it better than him. You're gonna do it to a point where he gonna come back to you later on in life and knock on your door. And that's kind of what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
So
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
so I like to say there is that with this dream killers, that's why I was gonna transition you, because a lot of people in our community, that's how they're gonna have to turn their dreams into realities. Like, I know I said you got to put in the work, do all of this, and you do have to do that. But I think the initial shock treatment of it, people in our communities, similar to our backgrounds, that's how they're gonna turn their dreams into realities, is using the dream killer, whatever dream killer situation they encountered. That's what they're gonna use to turn their dream into a reality. And I have examples like that too, where like just me being in technology growing up, you never had nobody to turn to with things other than sports or something like that. So when I say things like, I remember when I said early on I wanted to make six figures. There's a lot of people saying, because we don't come from nobody who make it anywhere near that back in those times. And
No.
there's a lot of people that say you're not gonna do that. You're not, you got to go do this. Or even like when I became an engineer in the steel mill, I'm not no hand labor down there or anything like that. I'm an actual engineer, control systems engineer. I own, like, I'm pretty much a supervisor at, like, what was that, like, my 20s. And
Mm-hmm.
that's unheard of from where we at, right? So I think that the dream killer situation will pivot you, but it's up to you to be able to want to pivot. Like, if you have enough passion for whatever that dream is, somebody coming to you and tell you what you can't do is going to fire you up to actually push forward on that dream. At that moment, everything else becomes little background noise, and you just focus in on that because somebody just told you what you're not going to do, and it's something you've been dreaming about. That's one of the biggest things that'll get somebody going. At least me, I know it's for a lot of people. And I want to say this is that, see, I think that's why me and you butt heads sometimes, because I'm very direct. You are not. And I think it's something that you can help me with in understanding how to not be so blunt and, like, say things in a better way. And then I could help you sometimes be like, no, you need to, like, say this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that, like, for this situation here, um you went around this, you said, not about the person, I don't care about that, but you went around this, you said that sometimes uh you
What?
said you said that sometimes people can, what did you say just a few minutes ago? You led off from the issue with the person, and then it's gonna come back
It's
to me. It's gonna
but
come back. It's gonna come
either
back
hold
to
on,
me.
but let it come back to you. But what I'm gonna
It's
say is this: it's the fact that, like, I'm direct when I don't know. I just, well, you got to understand, like, I don't know. I'm just calculated, real calculated,
Oh,
right?
I know what you said. I know what you said. So
What I
you
say,
said that the people, you said it could be your family members,
and your
basically people
friends,
close to you and your
yeah,
friends.
it could be
And
them.
I'm gonna say, that that's exactly who it's gonna be. It's just gonna be your mama. It could be your mama. It could be your daddy, it could be your brother, it could be your cousins.
Hmm.
That's like the people who in your face, like, all the time. You hear people all the time talking about the teacher said they couldn't do this. Those are the people it's gonna be. So I want to speak to you from a real life perspective. People, your
Hmm.
coworkers, that these are the people who are at your level. Understand what I'm saying? These are the people who are at your level, and this is just how it goes in life. The people at your level, your peers and things, a lot of times they don't want to see you getting higher than them. That's a human nature instinct. They don't want to see you getting no higher than them.
No,
Okay. So those are going to be the ones who going to be your dream killers. They're going to tell you what you can't do, what you're not supposed to be doing. Right. They're going to put you in your place. But I'm telling you this because you're going to have to check it right now. You're going to have to expect it. Expect it. Don't be slapped in the face when your stepdad tells you you can't be doing that. You only know how to do this. This family only been doing this. Don't be slapped in the face. Expect it, lead with expectation, and execute based on what you know you can do. So that's what I mean by that. Because I like to tell you, like, no, this is exactly who it's gonna be. And then, like you said, the other people who are not that close to you, that's usually gonna deflect that, like, naturally, because it's just like, you don't know nothing about me. It hit different when somebody who know you, know
Don't
what you can do,
they
know
don't
what
yeah.
and they do that to you.
Yeah.
It hit different. But like somebody else, you like, you don't even know me, dude. It's more so like funny, like, I'm gonna prove it. Watch this. But when somebody you like, you know that should know you and know your drive, everything about
Boy,
you,
it hurt. It hurt. I ain't gonna lie
it
to you.
hurt. So
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. People that you cut from how they cut, you really are blood. You really
yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? And they're not rooting for you. How you not gonna root for me?
that hurts you the
You're
most.
not gonna root for that's like not rooting for one like if I didn't root for my kids, like if I didn't root for my daughter, you understand what I mean? You
Yeah,
come from me. Like you get what I'm saying? I'm not gonna root for you. You know what I'm saying? When you winning or whatever, you're a reflection of me.
that's
Like you know what I'm
yes.
saying? I fed you. We come off the same table. So um
That's that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Like that, and that's what I want to harp on this dream killers portion, is that it's gonna be people that you truly like share spaces with, either you grew up with, you've talked to, you've known for a long time. Those are gonna be the people. You start a new business, you ain't getting no support, whatever endeavor you're doing, those are gonna be your dream killers. And you have to expect that to come.
Mhm.
Once you expect that, you know how to operate. It's not you're not too busy worried about, "Man, these people ain't supporting me. These my people. My
I
people
don't
ain't
look
even
to that.
buying it
Yeah,
from
you
me."
can't. Yup, you can't look
You
to that.
won't do that. You won't
I
do that if you expect it.
I changed my mindset a long time ago. If I have support, that's what's new to me. But I can't
Yeah.
lean on that. You know what I mean? It's my life, it's my dreams, it's my goals. This is on me. You know what I mean? And now the people that support me or something like that, that's a bonus. I appreciate having them, but it's a bonus because if I put too much creed into that, they're gonna snatch the rug from up under you, and you don't put all your
Yeah.
faith in these people, and you don't put the motivation in these people. And when they stop giving you the motivation that they've given you before, or something like that, like you said, you get too big for the environment, and that's the environment that you've depended on. Now you lost because you like
Yep.
you don't got them in the stands for you. They ain't clapping for you, whatever. You got to be comfortable with no claps. You got to be comfortable putting your own apple on your desk, patting yourself on the back.
Yeah.
You celebrating yourself in ways, making yourself happy. You know what I'm saying? Keeping yourself grounded, keeping yourself driven. You got to do that for yourself. Because when you put that on people, people gonna be people, man. People gonna be people, bro. They gonna make you happy. They're gonna let you down. They're gonna disappoint you. They're not gonna meet your expectations. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why, and that's the dream killers, man. That's dream chasers. So we don't talked about here. Let's recap a little bit. We talked about dream chasers. We talked about your childhood dreams. We went into that. We talked about turning dreams into realities and the practices behind that. And we also talked about the dream killers because that's a part of this when we talk about pursuing passions against all odds. Okay. So, those are things that we've experienced, things that highlight, that stick out to us. And to be honest with you, some of those things are just general things that stick out to a lot of people across the country and across the world that you can relate to. And dream chasers across the world can understand that. So let's jump into the key takeaway. The key takeaway for today would be dream unbelievably big, even if you're misunderstood and unsupported on your journey, which goes right back into what we were saying. And it goes back to that childhood dream. Dream huge, dream really big. I always say this: if you tell people your dream and they believe it, you ain't dreaming big enough. That goes right into that. Dream unbelievably big, even if you're misunderstood. They count you out, they call you crazy. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You go unsupported. You know what I mean? Having a support is a blessing. But what I'm saying is, when you start talking about dreaming real big, the support will come in spurts and few and far in between.
I'm gonna say this. Dream big while you can when you're young, because the older you get, the smaller your dreams become. It's just something about it. Adults, we don't dream big. We know too much. We're too informed. Oh, I can't do that. I got to do this. I'm gonna have to do that. Do that. As a kid, or like you go to a situation you don't really know about, you be like let's just say like people who come up and they say, I want a mansion. I want a mansion, because adults can say that, or whoever, but you don't really understand like the back end work that goes into like getting that. And then when you actually have the mansion, like the expenses,
Mhm.
just like the heating, ventilation, air conditioning bill, you don't understand like the ramifications of that. So what I'm saying is that when you're small, when you're young, you dream big because you don't understand what you have to accomplish, overcome to succeed in that dream. But
You
when
can
you're
see it.
older, you know too much and you ain't gonna do it.
Yep,
So
your
dream
mind get
big
tired.
now.
Yep. And then action item is, write down your biggest childhood dream. Did the dream become a reality? If the answer is no, why not? And this is for you. This is for you. This ain't for everybody else. Be honest with yourself. Like
Yeah.
we always say, be honest with yourself. You know, why didn't it come true? Did you let a dream killer kill your dream? Were you the dream killer in your dream?
Oh
Um,
yeah. You could be a dream killer too.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
We
can kill your
forgot.
own dreams. You get what I'm saying? Were you the dream killer in your dream? You know what I mean? Um, did you fall into all this other stuff that we kind of talked about? Did you not put those practices into place or whatever? You're gonna have your answer because you know why you didn't. We all know. We all know why we aren't what we said we was gonna be, or what you know what you did or didn't do. You know the work you didn't put in is the reason why you didn't get the results that you thought you should have. That's because the work you didn't put in. Or whatever that may be. Did you let your environment become your identity? Did you? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Answer these questions honestly, because this is for you. This ain't for you to post on Facebook. This ain't for you to tell all these other people about. Get you a little notepad. Write this down. This is gonna help you. This is self-help for yourself. Why didn't you? And is it too late? I don't think it's
Nope.
too late.
Nope.
I don't
Cause
think
I'm
it's
gonna
too
tell
late.
you. I'm gonna tell you. A lot of people gonna write this down and they gonna realize, to answer that question, why did it not become a reality? It's gonna come down to because they ain't put in the work. Watch.
You didn't put in the work.
You ain't
Unless
want
it's
to take the steps.
unless it's one of these few far off things, you just gonna have to eat the bullet or get some type of something. I was talking to a guy a couple weeks ago, and I'll be real quick with this. I was telling him he's about to retire. He ride bikes too, and we was downtown Indianapolis on the circle talking. He's about to retire, and he's about to be a retired firefighter. And to be honest with you, I always liked firefighters. Um, I never really wanted to be a cop, and I really don't know anybody in our community that truly wanted to be a cop when they grew up. But I'll leave that there. Um, I wanted to be a firefighter because I felt like it was a proud job, like something you could be proud of to communities. Nobody beefs with a firefighter. If you think about it, you know what I mean? It's one of those admirable, good American jobs where you're just like, you know what I mean? It's just like, man, they go a firefighter. They big, they strong, they work out, they keep themselves in shape, they saving people. You get what I mean? They're like heroes. So I always kind of like the firefighters. And if I wanted to be a fire, so I asked him since he retired, and I was like, what's the age limit on you being a firefighter? And he told me pretty much like he was like, as long as you have a job offer by the time you turn 36, you could be a firefighter. I think that's the same thing with like the military. They got a certain age, and I don't know about police officers if they got a certain age, but certain jobs and certain careers and certain things, there's an age restriction, like to where you got to get in the door. Um, in order for you to be eligible for that full benefit package and to see that pension and all this other stuff. So it goes back to what you were saying. If you start early, you start young, Don't wait, because if you wait in certain things for too long, by the time you get your mind right, it might be too, especially if they have those type of age restrictions, it might be too late for you. And that's all I'm saying. So like if you want to be a firefighter when you're a little kid, learn what that's like to where you can jump into that at an early age. I know guys that went right out of high school, dudes that was like a
Yeah.
couple guys that went to Gav. We wrestled together, and he was a really good wrestler. That summer he was bulking up, he was working out. I think dude's name was Zach Knight. And I was asking, what are you doing? Where he said, man, I'm getting ready to I gotta take my test to be a firefighter. I thought he wanted to grow up and go like continue to wrestle and do other things like that. He wanted to be a firefighter. He became a good firefighter. He probably still is a firefighter. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's something to look into and something to be mindful of while you're educating yourself, while you're young and your mind is still pure before it get polluted by this doubts and dream killers and stuff like that. Certain avenues of life, certain careers, they do have restrictions out there. So just look and make sure your career doesn't have one. Your goal doesn't have that dream doesn't have an age requirement on it. You know what I mean? Because there are a few, like I said, and that's just a couple things that I can think of. So but outside of that, man, we want everybody to just kind of think about what we were saying. Think about your dreams. Write down why you didn't accomplish them if you didn't. If you did, that's what's up. That's what's up. But if you did, to be honest with you, you're in the 1%. So kudos to you, and you a hustler. You all obviously already are self-motivated. You already know some of the things that we're saying to be true, and you in that 1%. I'm talking to people that really aren't in that 1% yet, and it's okay because you can still get there depending on, what I'm saying, what you want to do. But you know, this was Dream Chasers, man. I think this was a good one. What else you got for them, bro? Before we wrap it up.
I just want to say don't be fooling yourself. Don't be lying to yourself when you write down that if you met the reality or not. Um Dreams, man, dreams, you can accomplish anything you want to. It's up to you. You're outside of the people talking to you, it's gonna be you who kill your dream. And if you kill your dream because you didn't put in the work. So don't play with yourself. You know why you didn't make that a reality.
Yeah, you got one life to live. Go after them dreams, put the work in, and make it happen. So,
Yeah, that's it right there.
without further ado, y'all, this was Our You Redemption Podcast. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy G White,
Big speaker.
and we out.
Yes, sir.